Hey there guys, and welcome to another video. This is actually the beginning of a new series I'm going to be starting. I'd like to make this a weekly series, much like the Reddit Weekly or Friday Facts Discussion series. I'm thinking maybe every Tuesday, since we don't really have a specific episode that comes out on Tuesdays. And the theme of this will be a series where you guys ask me questions and I answer them. Pretty straightforward. This is a pretty common theme, I think, among YouTubers. I've never done anything quite like this, at least in a series form. I've done a few little one-off Q&As and stuff. But I do get a lot of general questions on my videos and some on my Discord and streams. And I figured this would be a fun series. So for this video, I opened this up to people in my Discord to ask some questions. We got a few, which I'll answer. And then from this point forward, I would like to pull the questions from the comments of the previous week's videos. So if you have questions you'd like me to answer, if you have questions for me, leave them in the comments of this video. And then for next week's, I will pull from those and answer those questions. And they can be whatever. They can be Factorio related. They don't have to be Factorio related. They can be other game related. They can be not gaming related at all. They can be related to something else you're just curious about in regards to me or my thoughts on something. It can be basically anything as long as it's appropriate for me to answer and talk about on YouTube is really the only constraint. As long as it's not something like overly complicated, like can you show me how to set up this specific circuit network train design, I can't really spend like 20 minutes showing you something on a question answer video, if that makes sense. If you have general questions in regards to layouts and stuff, I'm happy to answer that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. I don't know if this will be something people like or not. I mean, if there's not much interest, then maybe I won't continue it, because obviously this depends on you guys actually asking questions. But we'll just hop right into it. So from my Discord, also really quickly, the footage you're watching in the background is taken from the most recent Science Battles stream against Colonel Will, round 2 of that. We're going again. And yeah, so first question here comes from Affliction, who is a longtime member and supporter of mine. And his question, he actually has 2 questions. His first question is, what got you into Factorio to begin with, and how did you discover the game? So this is just kind of, the same question asked 2 different ways in a sense. And it's actually, I actually discovered Factorio through another YouTuber. It was probably about 5.5 years ago at this point. And quite a few of you may know this YouTuber. He's fairly large at this point. Does a lot of indie game content, or did. I haven't checked in on his channel in some time. But the YouTuber is Avak. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. Yeah, so Avak, he a long time ago, like I said, 5+ years ago, did a Factorio playthrough, and I was a viewer of his channel and his content before I even found that. Like, I had been watching his content for several months beforehand of other games, and I kept looking through his playlists, trying to find something to watch, because I'd watched most of his content, and I kept actually skipping over his Factorio playlist, interestingly. Every time I'd look at it, I'd be like, man, I don't know, this is a really weird looking game. I don't think this is going to be very good. So I just would skip over it. And then I'd find something else to watch on his channel, and then I'd come back and skip over it again. Until finally I was like, okay, I'm out of stuff to watch. Just give it a try. And I started it, and after like the first video in his first playthrough of Factorio, I was super intrigued. And I was like, okay, this is actually just not at all what I thought. This is super cool. And keep it in mind, guys, this is way back. This is... like I said, this is many. I started Factorio in, I think, 0.8, and then some subversion of that, 8.2 or something. So that's a long time ago. Things were very different, but even then, without things being nearly as polished as they are now, I was very intrigued. So I looked into the game. I watched more content. Usually I like to watch quite a bit of content before I purchase a game. So I watched a lot. I finally bought it. Started playing, played on my own, and then I really enjoyed it. I did several maps together. My first map was actually a failure. I died and gave up. And then my second map was about a 40-hour map where I beat the game. Back then it was a rocket defense, not a rocket launch that you had to do. So yeah, that answers that question. That's how I found it. And everything since that. There's a few other questions that tie into that I can go into more detail for. But that's how I discovered it, how I found it, and then how I decided to get it. Next question comes from Hopewell, again, a very long-time member and supporter. Says, what got you into content creation? Were you a gamer who just enjoyed making videos, or had you always enjoyed the content creation and gaming just fell into it? Um, it was definitely, um, it's definitely the first option there. So, what got me into content creation? Actually, I started making videos a very, very long time ago, probably like 7, 8 years ago now. I'd say around 2011, 2012. And those were Minecraft videos back then. I started with Minecraft, and then I put out, that was, I think I did some on another channel that got deleted. This was a very long time ago, or I deleted it, I think. And there are still Minecraft videos on my current channel. They're very old, very cringy. I was a teenager and not very good at it. And so I did do several Minecraft series on this channel, and then I did some Call of Duty stuff. So I had already experienced content creation. I had always already kind of been exposed to that and enjoyed it and stuff. And then, so then Factorio, what happened there is, I played on my own, and then I saw a post on the forums by Fish Sandwich, and anyone who's been around for quite a while know who that is. And this was, he suggested the Hydra Dilemma. Obviously not by that name at the time, but that idea, and wanted some content creators. And, I had taken a break from YouTube. I hadn't really been doing much YouTube for quite a while, but, I had the experience. So I contacted him. We got into a group with him and Root Negative and a few other people. And then we just kind of started from there, and I realized how much fun it was and just kind of picked it back up from there. So, the answer is I had already kind of been into content creation. That's what got me into Factorio content creation. And I was a gamer who enjoyed making videos. I definitely, I basically, I was a gamer much before I started making videos. So it happened that way. Next question is from Foxfiend. Have you ever felt burnt out on Factorio? If so, how do you keep going? And then there's two more questions that follow that, but we'll start with this one. Two more questions of his that follow that. This one, have I ever felt burnt out on Factorio? Yes. To be completely honest, yes, multiple times I have. I have for sure. And how do I keep playing? Well, I'm going to be honest. I in the times I felt burnt out, I don't currently feel burnt out, but in the times that I did feel burnt out, I kept playing because I had to. If I did not do this as work, the times that I felt burnt out were all during the point where I was doing this either for a partial income or for my full income after I started doing this full time several years ago. And obviously, with this being my full income, it was not very advantageous for me to just stop. Even though I was burnt out on it, I couldn't really just stop because I would have no money, and I would basically lose my job. So that's how I kept going, because I had to. Again, that sounds bad, but that's the truth. And like I said, it's not a lasting thing. It's not like I've been burnt out. Like, there were periods where I was burnt out, and I just kept going. And maybe there were times where I reduced the amount of content I made quite a bit, and that was during some of the times I was burnt out. And I would just kind of go through it, pull myself through it, and then a new update would come out, and that would usually revitalize me, rejuvenate my interest in the game. My periods of being burnt out were pretty much always inspired by the massive gaps between Factorio updates. Up until recently, if you just started playing 1.0 or 1.8 or 0.18 or 0.17, you won't really have experienced this. But if you played a long time ago, started playing a long time ago, you will remember that all the way up until about 0.17, maybe 0.16, there were huge gaps of zero content. So the way we're used to 0.18 being is, they would recently in 0.18, they would release updates fairly periodically, every week, every couple weeks, maybe once a month, once every other month. But before that, there would be literally 8-9 months, I think at some points over a year, of zero content for the game added. Like, because they wouldn't do it periodically. They would release a huge update, and then they would bug fix for it. So there'd be some little updates after that, And then, of course, they would continue the Friday Facts, but there would be no additional content added to the game, period, whatsoever, for usually between the big updates for like 8 to 10 months. And as you can imagine, that would kind of cause a burnout for a lot of people. So had I not been doing this for a job, for income, I would have just stopped playing probably. And maybe not even picked it back up. So in a way, I'm glad I had to keep doing it for income because with how I'm feeling about the game now, I'm really glad that I'm still playing it. Like, I think I would be missing out on a lot right now had I just stopped playing because I got burnt out and not returned to it. So, kind of a long answer, but that's it. That's the answer to that question. And right now, I'm super hyped about the game 1.0. It just made me super excited. It brought in some new features. It brought in a bunch of new players, so I'm really enjoying making tutorial, instructional content. I'm enjoying seeing all the new people on my channel and on my streams. It's really great to see that. The science battles I'm doing with Colonel Will are actually fantastic. I get a little heated. I'm a pretty competitive person. I think at least with gaming. So I do get a little heated with that, but it's a lot of fun. It's actually making me just enjoy the game more than I have in a very long time. It's really a blast, honestly. And I hope to do a lot more of them. So some different setups and stuff. Second question from Foxfiend is, what other games do you play? So currently, sadly, I actually do not play any other games, guys. I would say a year and a half ago, I was playing quite a few other games on the side, and this was actually during a point where I was not doing very much content creation, and I was actually playing a lot of other games on the side. And those games were like I played a fair bit of Fortnite. I played quite a lot of Apex Legends, which was a lot of fun. I played. What else did I play? I played a couple indie games. I played a lot of Teamfight Tactics, pretty mainstream games. A lot of Call of Duty. I played quite a large amount of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Battle Royale there. I'm a pretty big fan of Battle Royales. Shooters are like how I started gaming, basically. So, it's just kind of in my history and my nature to enjoy shooter games. And I played some other, like I said, Bombug, who I record the Friday videos with, Friday Fact discussion videos. I actually met him through Fortnite, and we've been in touch and playing games and become friends since then, and that was several years ago. So he and a group of his friends, me and some other people have played other games, Overwatch, Rocket League. I've played some indie games, stuff like that. But right now, for probably the last year, I haven't really played any other games, simply because, several reasons. I don't have a lot of time. I have some health issues that sadly have been, part of my life for quite a while, and they take a lot of my time and it makes me some days just not feel well enough to make content, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I am dealing with them at least best I can at the moment. And there's that. I have a girlfriend now. I've had a girlfriend for the last year, which obviously, spending time together and doing stuff together and with her friends and stuff takes time. And then, recently I've been doing so much Factorio content, even if those other things weren't the case, I just probably wouldn't have a lot of time for gaming. I've also recently gotten back into Lego, which has taken quite a bit of my time. Free time, I guess, non-content creation time, and I'm having a blast with it. So that's just kind of the reason I don't really play other games anymore. And then just kind of a very typical question someone might ask is the last question from Foxfiend is, what is my favorite animal? My favorite animal, I don't know if I can pick one. I like all animals. I'm a huge animal. I love animals. I was going somewhere with that. I didn't really know where. I love animals, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think like quote unquote pet animals count. Like I could say a dog. I love dogs, but I mean, who doesn't? I don't know. I probably I want to say like a tiger. I don't know, for something, they're just so beautiful. They're so, you know, they're just like majestic. Really, they're I mean they're huge cats, but it I don't know. That's probably the best answer I can give. Like I said, I like all animals really. So then the next question is from Deshoop. What's one thing you think could be changed in Factorio or added to the game? Oh, this is always a hard one. Um, I think that one thing, I think, and I've said this many times, I think that Factorio could really benefit from a stronger, more substantial late game. Uh, right now, just launching a rocket really for seemingly no reason. Because, the story is you crash land on a planet and that you launch a rocket to escape, but you don't actually ride in the rocket. You just launch the rocket with a satellite for really no no visible reason. Like I don't know what that achieves for you. Maybe it's to like send a signal out for help or something. I don't know. So I feel like some stronger in-game it could really benefit from. There's all kinds of things from mods, of course, that I would love to have in the game. I think some sort of option to recycle materials would be pretty cool, even if it's like inefficient or expensive or very, I don't know. I think that would be kind of cool. And last thing I can think of that comes to mind is I would love something like, huge like bucket wheel excavator. Now I know there's a mod that does that, but I'm not a huge, I shouldn't say I'm not a huge fan. I spotlighted it. It's a cool mod, but just due to modding limitations and not actually being part of the dev team, I think the graphics are lacking. I think just the implementation is a bit clunky, and I'm not criticizing the mod dev. It's just, I mean, it's a mod. It's not gonna be what could be in the game if the developers actually made it. So I think some really like high level mining thing that's just like this gigantic, industrial miner, I think would be really cool. I think it would be extremely fitting for the game. Very dirty, pollution generating, hatched together thing that, I think that would just be really neat, honestly. I think that would be amazing. Next question comes from Matt P. And they ask kind of several questions that all just go into one, really. How do you figure out the type of mega base to build? Do you like, how do you decide to do direct it or patch production, or have everything trained to another location to be made? And what if one of those methods gets boring? And this is a kind of a difficult question to answer, because I think all of that, not all of it, most of that is just based on opinion. Like, I mean, I guess all my answers are, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't think there's necessarily like a right way to build the mega base, like, if for how do I figure out what type of mega base to build? I figure it out based on what type I want to build. or sometimes it's based on what kind of goals I have in mind that may determine it. If it's better to make production at the ore patches, or if it's better to train ore to somewhere else to be smelted. Typically I do have things trained to another location to be smelted and produced. That's just kind of the way I play. But maybe someday I'll try to build things just at the ore patches. And if one way gets boring, then do it another way. That's the best way I can answer that. If there's no right way to do it. If you're bored doing it one way, then just try it the other way. And that's how a lot of things work in Factorio. That's how I've discovered some great stuff, because I've been bored doing one thing, so I try something else. And that's how new layouts are born and stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of a hard question to answer, I think, because there's just no just like solid, this way is better, do it this way, Two more questions left. Next one is from DXP. This is, oh man, this is kind of, I feel this is a joke question, but I'll answer it anyway because I think it's funny, and anyone who's been around my channel for a while will probably get a laugh out of this. They say, how long do you actually take for lunch or food breaks? Hinting back to where the folks you played with back in 014 and 015 created lunch timers that killed you in game. So anyone who's been around my channel for a long time will probably know what this is referring to. Anyone who hasn't, basically, I used to play a lot with Colonel Will, and the main example of this was in our 015 simulation playthrough, which is on my channel if you want to check that out, keeping in mind it's a fair bit old. But this was a playthrough we did where we tried to simulate the game before the 015 update actually came out. And I think we did a pretty good job of it. It was, honestly, it's probably my favorite playthrough I've ever done. I've said this before, and it still remains that way. And we would play for a long time, meaning that I would have to go take like a dinner break, typically is what it was. And I would take a very long time, to the point where they would create timers that would kill me, usually with a train, if I was not back by a certain point. And while it was funny, sometimes it did actually help me speed up my return. So DXP's question in regards to how long it actually takes, it usually takes about as long as I took. And actually, I was tuning into Will's stream the other day, and I think he brought this up, kind of answered it himself. But the reason that I would seemingly take so long is because I almost always make my meals like on the spot. You know, I don't just order in food all the time, and I don't have like frozen things I put in the microwave or pizzas to put in the oven. I usually make my dinner at the time, and usually like like a full meal, not just like a sandwich or something. I would usually make some sort of pasta dish, or even if I had like leftover soup or something, I would usually make some sort of fairly fairly substantial side, or salad and stuff, and so it would usually take me 30 to 45 minutes to make the meal. And then typically what I would do is I would eat while watching TV, either part of a movie, like just the like first fourth of a movie, or like usually typically like an episode of a TV show, which usually are about 40 to 50 minutes long. So you add that onto the time it takes me to make dinner, and boom, you have me being gone for an hour and a half, 2 hours. When people were like, how could it possibly take you that long to eat? Well, half that was me making the food, and the other part was me enjoying my dinner while watching TV or something. So that's I think it was, it's kind of a joke question, but I thought I'd answer it because some people may get a kick out of that. And then the last question, kind of two questions from the same person, from Firolite, I think. Firolite. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. What is your favorite setup for small or processing in the early game? That's the first part of the question. This is a little vague. I'm not sure quite what you mean for small ore processing, like just initial processing of ore. Typically, I like to have what we call burner city, where you just put burner mining drills on a patch feeding directly into a stone furnace. I usually do anywhere between like 4 to 10 of these for each resource, and get some of that. In terms of after that point, I usually just build a full smelter. I don't really have like an intermediate thing between those two steps. I usually just go from burner city to building a full smelter with at least like 24 furnaces total on it to fill at least like half a belt to start with. I have a blueprint for, I think, this on my website. My tutorial let's play in one of the early episodes, the current tutorial let's play, where I build the smelter. That's the smelter I use. If you're looking for the specific layout I'm listing, that's where you can find it. It's the same layout pretty much every time. It's a very reliable layout. It's one I like, and that's usually what I use. And their second question is, have you completed the Lazy Bastard Challenge? And my answer is no. I get a lot of people asking me this. Have I completed it? Do I plan to? Why haven't you? You want to? And that's an achievement. First off, I'm not really an achievement type of person. Achievements just don't really interest me in games. I'm not an achievement hunter. The closest thing to that is back in my early gaming days when I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I would kind of go for like all the accolades and titles and stuff in that. But other than that, I'm not, like, I just have no interest in achievements in games pretty much ever. I mean, of course, I'll probably naturally get like half of them just by playing, but I don't really have an interest in outside of that. The Lazy Bastard one in particular, just the idea of it really feels like it would just make me really frustrated, because I do a lot of handcrafting. It's so ingrained in my gameplay to handcraft so many things that I think that either A, I would screw it up real quick because I would just handcraft over the limit, or B, even if, because I know you can technically, like, if you're going through the technical rules for like speed runs or whatever, that you can actually use a command to disable handcrafting past a certain point or something. Even if I did that, I think once I would hit that point really fast, just because it's so ingrained in my gameplay to handcraft, and then I would just be really frustrated every time I couldn't. So really, I personally don't want it, because I just don't, I think it would actually just make me dislike the entire process of getting it, which to me defeats the purpose of an achievement. You know, it should be an achievement. It should not be a horrible process to get this thing. So that's my answer. I haven't gotten it. I don't plan to get it. It just doesn't interest me, and it actually sounds really quite frustrating. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. If you go for it, that's awesome, and I honestly respect you, because I don't know if I would have the patience for that. But anyway, there you go, guys. Those are the questions. And again, any questions you have, Factorio related, game related, unrelated to either of those things, leave below, and I will then pull from that for next week's episode. And let me know if you enjoy this. If, like I said, if there's not much interest, probably won't continue it, really. But you know, hopefully you find this interesting. I always find it interesting when I watch other YouTubers do this, so I hope it would be the same here. But yeah, leave your question below, and if you see a question that someone else asked that you would also like to hear, just give their comment a thumbs up. It will make it much easier for me, rather than seeing 5 of the same question from different people. That would just really be appreciated. And if you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up on the video would be appreciated as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to keep up with all the content. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.